Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back. Today, right now, we have Steve Hussein with us. He is an ex-Muslim just like me, and we are going to talk about a special subject over here today because of a special uncle. Steve, would you please introduce this uncle a little?
Okay, well, this is, uh, it's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard talking about relatives because I love them so much, and I know they're so angry with me. They're so angry with me about me doing these videos and everything. This particular uncle, and he's, he has, he's been commenting pretty regularly, and I feel like he is watching a lot of my videos, and I usually do one video a day, almost one a day. Usually because some days I think, okay, I'm not going to do one, but then somebody sends me a message like this uncle, and it's like I feel a responsibility to respond to it. And the last one that I did, the last episode that I did, my uncle responded to. And the thing that he said, and he said it twice, is that Muhammad is a mercy to the world. Rahma lil alameen in Arabic. And this is the belief that Muhammad was so merciful and so wonderful. And you know, I know they want to believe that. And you know what? And I believe Muslims are like that. Muslims are like that. This uncle is like that. These people are like that. They're so beautiful. They're so wonderful. My Muslim relatives, they're so wonderful. They are like that. But the problem is Muhammad wasn't like that. And the books are so clear that Muhammad wasn't like that. And it's almost like they're trying to make Muhammad, the CNN Muhammad, the liberal media, the America Academia Muhammad, that is the one that fed the cat, fed the donkey, gave water to the donkey from a shoe, and all this kind of stuff. But if you look at the Islamic sources, unfortunately, if we really want to be honest, that's not the real Muhammad. He wasn't a mercy to the world. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about. I know that because of your great knowledge in the Hadith and the Sira Nabawiya, in the biography of Muhammad, I knew that you would be able to speak about this subject.
Yep, this is a very huge subject, quite frankly, and you can actually, in the meantime, you can actually share. You can go to my page and share it on your page as well. This video. This is a very good topic and very deep topic because there is one verse where things starts, and let me just put it on that. It's chapter number 21, verse number 107. It says, "And we have sent you, O Muhammad, not but as a mercy for Alameen." So for all the people, the jinn and everyone, that's what that's where we have to look at it. What is the mercy, right? So we have to look at the mercy of Muhammad. And to begin with, just like a couple of hours ago, I did another video where I've shown you what the teaching of Muhammad is when it comes to marriage of a woman. So you can actually look into this as well in my previous post, and you can see the marriage is young babies. This is Tafsir al-Ain, Tafsir al-Ibn Abbas, young age, their viewing period is 3 months, who hasn't been menstruated yet. And it comes from this Quranic verse, which is chapter number 65, verse number 4. So to begin with, you are giving away your children in marriage, which is pretty disturbing. But once again, that is okay. This is a decree of Allah. This is Quran. We have to look at Muhammad. So
But
when we look,
Adam, just because you brought that up, I just want to make sure anybody who has any questions about this, go and read the Quran, Surah Al-Talaq, chapter 65. It's chapter 65 in the Quran, verse 4. 65, verse 4. We're not making this up. This is in the Quran. So, And
Exactly. So
about
I'm showing the Quran verse as well.
yes.
So as we can see this over here, that it is in Quran. There is nothing hidden so far. This is one of the very easiest uh, Quran verse to actually look into it, anyways. But anyhow, right now, let's look at something what Muhammad has been doing in his life, and we have to look in Sira and we have to look in Hadith.
Yes.
So uh, let's look at this one.
Okay. This is okay. Just let me just say, just for those of you, because I know a lot of people maybe don't realize the importance of this source. A lot of them, when you show them stuff like this, are going to say, "Oh, this is the da'if," or this is, not recognized, or somebody made this up, or Uh, but this is Sahih al-Bukhari. This is the number two book of Islam. After the Quran, this is the number two book. This is the highest book of Hadith, which is the words of Muhammad. So this story is in that book. And so, do you
Let
mind? Can I go ahead and read it?
Yes, please, sir.
Okay, let me go ahead and read it. It says, narrated by Anas bin Malik, a group of 8 men from the tribe of Orkil came to the Prophet, and then they found the climate of Medina unsuitable for them. So they said, "O Allah's Apostle, provide us with some milk." Allah's Apostle said, "I recommend that you should join the herd of camels." So they went and drank the urine and the milk of the camels as a medicine till they became healthy and fat. Then they killed the shepherd and drove away the camels, and they became unbelievers after they had been Muslims. So I guess they had became Kafirs. They left Islam after they had been Muslims. When the Prophet was informed by a shouter for help, he sent some men in their pursuit, and before the sun rose high, they were brought, and he had their hands and feet cut off. Then he ordered for nails, which were heated and passed over their eyes. So these are metal nails, like nails that you pound with a hammer. He had them heated and passed over their eyes to make their eyes explode. And they were left in the Hara, the rocky land of Medina. They begged for water, and nobody provided them with water until they died. And so
That's
Abu,
a
Abu
mercy, basically.
yeah, Abu Kalaba, they committed murder and theft and fought against Allah and his apostle and spread evil in the land. Now, this is going back to chapter, the very famous verse, Obama's favorite verse in the Quran. This is Obama's favorite verse is chapter 3, 50, 52, and this is 53, which is in the Quran, chapter 355, which is if they commit uh, corruption in the land,
In the land.
you cut off their hands and feet and crucify them and stuff. So anyway, but is this mercy? Is this mercy to the world?
This is a good mercy, I think, because they were killed eventually. I don't know, Steve. Like seriously, how like there is something when we are talking about Islam, it's eye for an eye kind of a religion. That's what most of the things are actually stated as well on that. So if somebody killed somebody, he should be killed. But here you can see that what happened, because if you look the other narration of this hadith, it was the herd of Muhammad. So that
Oh,
herd was the herd of Muhammad. He
oh,
actually said to them, "Go to my herd and get the camel milk and urine from
oh,
there and drink it." And because it was his, and
oh,
they killed his slave who used to take care of those camels and took the camels by themselves, and that's what happened, that he caught them, then he cut their hands and feet from the opposite side, and even then he was not satisfied, and then he actually put the hot uh, nails in their eyes. And some people say this is this is the punishment that was given before Allah revealed the punishment of everything. And okay, that's even worse, because if Allah's punishment is to cut their hands, Muhammad is Rahmatul lil Alameen, then Muhammad should have actually given them lesser punishment or at least equal punishment. How can Muhammad give a punishment which is beyond Allah's punishment, or how can he start it? Like this is how bad it goes into it.
Wow. And and it goes back to that. Is this a mercy to the world? When you say he's a mercy to the world, it's almost like you don't even need to comment on it. You know what? You just read this, and it jars your soul, your conscience, and you say, how can you call this a mercy to the world? Where is the mercy? And so
Look
anyway,
at another mercy.
okay, okay. This one is particularly painful. This one is very hard. This is if you've never heard this story, this is a story that can give you nightmares. I know when I first heard this story, it just bothered me for days, just to because you can't get this picture out of your head of what they did to this poor old woman. And can you mind if I go ahead and read this?
Please be my
Yeah.
guest, sir.
Allah's messenger sent Zayd to Wadi Qura, where he encountered the Banu Fazara. Okay, that's a tribe, the Banu Fazara, the sons of Fazara. Some of his companions were killed, and Zayd was carried away wounded. Ward was slain by Banu Badr. When Zayd returned, he vowed that no washing should touch his head until he had raided the Fazara. This is the people uh, that they had gone to at first, the Banu Fazara. After he recovered, Muhammad sent him with an army against the Fazara settlement. He met them in Qura and inflicted casualties on them, and took Kurfa as a prisoner. Now, Kurfa she was like a woman who was like a leader in the tribe, and she was like 120 years old. And the belief is that she was like around 120 years old, very, very old woman. He took her as a prisoner. He also took one of daughters and Abdullah bin Masad, a prisoner. Zayd ibn Haritha ordered Qais to kill Kurfa, and he killed her cruelly. He tied each of her legs with a rope and tied the ropes to two camels, and they split her in two. So what they did is they tied her with two camels, her legs, and now I've heard also her hands. And then they beat the camels so that the camels went in opposite directions, tearing her in half. Tearing her in half. Now,
Let's look at it in more detail. This is the same story,
okay,
but we are going to connect, because what you were reading from Tiberi, and we
somebody.
are going to add it from Ibn Ishaq as well. So
Okay,
the story from the from Tebari is there, and then Ishaq continues and says, "Then they brought Kulfa, daughter of Mas'ud, the son of Apostle. The daughter of Koef belongs to Salama, etc., etc. She had a position of honor among her people, and the Arab used to say, 'Had you been more powerful than Kurfa, you could have done no more.' Salma asked the apostle to let him have her, and he gave him, and he presented her to his uncle, and she bare his Abdurrahman." So basically, her what happened to her daughter?
her daughter, yeah,
What happened to her daughter? She
was
was given away.
just given away in marriage. It
Given
just
away. That's not even marriage. It was just given away.
yeah, and this is
Because we need to understand that if you are a capture of war, we have done this in the past. If you're a capture of war, you are a sex
Slave.
toy, sex slave.
Mhm,
And that's what it is.
mhm,
That's what it is. First, that woman was killed cruelly,
mhm,
by tying her legs
mhm.
with camel and splitting her into two. And then her daughter was given away. That is the mercy of Muhammad, unfortunately.
The mercy, when they say he's a mercy, I've heard Hatun Tash talk about, and he says, the one thing he did is he did feed the cat. He did feed a cat, and so there's, that act of mercy. But towards people, it was a different story, And we got these stories, Look at Kurfa, look what he did to these guys, and it was just like, if you look at the other guys, the guys who killed the camels and did all that stuff, they killed somebody, but it was the excessive cruelty of it. I mean, taking the nails, putting it on their eyes, and just and then they were begging for water, and it just shows you the excessive cruelty. And there's a name for Muhammad, and I'll just go ahead and say this. And I, when I had a TV show, I did a program about this, and that is Muhammad is called the Huk al Qattal. The
Oh
Huk
my goodness.
al Qattal. Have you heard that?
No, I'm hearing it for the first time.
The Huk al Qattal, and what that means is the laughing killer. The laughing killer. That he would, and there was a couple of terrorist uh, bombings. Remember the terrorist bombings in London when they blew up the underground trains? The guys who did that, they wrote a paper about what they did, a letter, and they signed it, the Huk al the laughing killer, and that's about Muhammad because he was called that. And so, a mercy to the world. I'm not sure. So anyway, these are the most respected. Ibn Ishaq, it needs to be said. This is the earliest biography of Muhammad, the earliest biography of Muhammad. And so you can't just say, "Oh, we're making stuff up." No, this is in the sources there. Tabari, the most respected historian, Islamic historian, and that's where these stories are coming from. And you got to consider: is this a mercy to the world? So,
This mercy, because I said that she was given away, so I have to give some evidence on that before somebody would start coming in and say, you lie and all. So this is the hadith once again, how Muhammad used to give away slaves. uh, and it is once again Sahih Muslim, uh, hadith number 3371, grade is Sahih. And what is happening over here is that Abu Sa'ad, did you hear Allah Messenger mentioning Al Azl? He said yes, and added, we went out with Allah Messenger on the expedition to Bal Mustalik, and took captives of some excellent Arab women. So imagine how it has been described. The first derogatory term is some excellent Arab woman, and we desire them.
we
So we were,
desire.
yes, desire them, sexually desire them. We already read the word al azl. The definition of al azl will be in the next line. And we desire them, for we were suffering from the absence of our wives. We also desire ransom for them. So they wanted to sell them away with ransom. So we decided to have sexual intercourse with them, but by observing azl, withdrawing the male sexual organ before emission of semen to avoid conception. But we said, we are doing this act where Allah Messenger is among us. Why not ask him? So we asked Allah Messenger, and he said, it does not matter. If you do not do it, for every soul that has to be born up to the day of resurrection will be born. I will ask all of my listeners who are Muslim or non Muslim. put yourself in the shoes of those ladies. I'm sorry if you feel pain on that, but put yourself on the shoes of those ladies. Your husband, your brother, your father, whoever it is, are either killed or in prison, and you are taken as captive. Is this a legal sex or rape? Is this a legal sex or rape? And because somebody said share it, I share the reference of it. The reference is there. It is Sahih Muslim, Book of Marriage, Hadith 3371. If you have any problem, just copy a single line from here into sunnah.com and you will see that. So once again, this is, and this is not the only one. This is not the only one. Quran actually explicitly says that. Quran says that, chapter number 4, verse number 24. And married women are except the married and also prohibited to you all married women except those your right hand possesses. This is the decree of Allah upon you and lawful to you. So
That's chapter
basically,
4, verse 24 of the Quran.
verse
Chapter 4, verse 24.
exactly. And then this is actually coming. And then chapter number 23, verse number 5 and 6 states, and they who guard their private parts except for their wives or those their right hand possesses, indeed they will not be blamed. So wife and right hand possessed. Once
That
again we look.
and people need to know when it says those your right hand possesses. I heard a sheikh talking about what does it mean right hand possesses. He said well, it's like a cup. I own a cup. So that's something my right hand possesses. So when you say something that I own, so he's talking about a slave girl, and you are allowed to have sex with your wife and those your right hand possesses. You know, you're not allowed to have sex with married women except those that your right hand possesses. The Quran says that. That means you're not allowed to have sex with married women except the slave girls. And so, there's so many verses about this class of women called those your right hand possesses. Malakat al-Yamin in Arabic. Malakat al-Yamin. And that's, another issue, that.
Let me put it into another context. In
Okay.
Quran chapter number 66, verse number 1, O Prophet, why do you prohibit yourself from what Allah has made lawful for you, seeking the approval of your wives? And Allah is forgiving and merciful. Tafsir al Jalalain, O Prophet, why do you prohibit what God has made lawful to you in terms of your Coptic handmaiden Maria? And what is she doing? When he lay with her in the house of Hafsa, who had been away. So Muhammad laid with handmaiden Maria in the house of Hafsa. Once again, we can go and see Asbabul Nazul by Al Wahadi, and it says, Messenger of Allah, bless him, give him peace, entered the house of Hafsa along with the mother of his son. Maria, when Hafsa found him with her in an intimate moment, she said, why do you bring her in my house? So this is Muhammad. This is
Mercy.
Muhammad, merciful. And we actually forgot about Safiya, and there are multiple hadiths of Safiya where Muhammad said, go pick any slave. Why don't you talk about this, and I will pick up the reference for that before somebody accuses.
Okay. About the
About
situation.
Maria. Yes.
Oh, Maria the Cop. There's a thing about the Maria the Cop. If you look at the story of what happened there, okay, Maria the Cop was given to Muhammad as a gift, you know, from the king of Egypt, because he knew what Muhammad liked, and so he gave him this girl, and there's a lot involved with this story. There's a lot involved with this story, besides just the surface stuff. But let's just leave it at surface stuff today with Maria the Cop. But what happened is that one day Muhammad said to Hafsa, his wife Hafsa, and Hafsa is the daughter of Umar bin Khattab. And so Muhammad was married, to the daughter of Abu Bakr, the first caliph, who was Aisha, his 6-year-old wife, and then Hafsa, the daughter of Omar bin Khattab. And so one day Muhammad was feeling very generous. He was feeling very nice. And he said to Hafsa, he says, honey, you haven't seen your dad in a while, you know, and I bet your dad really wants to see you, and you know what? Why don't you go see your dad today? You really should, and I just got to give you some time off. I feel bad, you're always around here and everything. Go see your dad, spend a little bit of time with your family, because I know you really, they miss you and you miss them. And Hafsa says, "Oh, thanks, honey. That's really nice of you. You're so kind. Peace be upon you." And but then, as soon as she leaves, Muhammad brings in Maria the Copt, the slave girl, and then he has sex with her. Starts having sex with her on Hafsa's bed. And so, but as Hafsa's leaving, she's thinking, I wonder what's going on. I wonder if everything's okay. And so she ends up turning around and going back to the house. And then she catches Muhammad and Maria, as you just read, catches them in an intimate moment, having sex. And and
That's a full story with a little bit of your salt on it. Thank you so much for that. But like, imagine Muhammad by himself is involved in having sex. Now, the later watered down, non-humiliating story is as well present and in Ibn Kathir, where you will see actually both of these stories. The other story is about honey. So now, if Muhammad said, "I will not have honey," why would the verse of Quran will say, "Hey, why do you prohibit yourself for what is made lawful for you?" Anyhow, I just wanted to put it in as well because they say Islamophobe. You look at one, you do not look at another. But like, look at what is written in the sources, and then the later sources will give you watered down approach where they will say it was honey and Hafsa
yes,
didn't like about honey, and she and Aisha started fighting with Muhammad on why do you eat honey. Are you kidding me? Two Ummahatul Mu'mineen, mothers of all believers, will fight with Muhammad on honey, and Muhammad will make a promise that I will never eat honey. Like, come on, it doesn't make sense at all from any perspective.
yes. Well,
But
you know
anyhow, we are
what?
talking about the. Sorry,
Yes. Well,
I want.
the story gets sadder. It gets more sad because Muhammad finally he promises. Hafsa says, "Oh, listen, honey, don't tell Aisha." Because he was scared of Aisha. He was scared of Aisha. She was younger and stronger than him, and so he was scared of her, and she was his favorite. And so Hafsa went and told Aisha, and so there was a problem. But you know what happens at Muhammad? He goes pouting, goes pouting, stuff, goes to the mosque, and then Allah comes to the rescue with the verse, "How dare you keep from yourself that which Allah has made permissible to you just to please your wife?"
That's
And so, from the eternal preserved tablet in heaven,
Allah is
Jibreel brings a
sending
verse
this.
from the yes, and you just think Allah got involved in this situation as He always did to justify Muhammad's desire. Just like Aisha said, Aisha told him once, "Allah yusara ala hawak," or something like that. And what it means is Allah hastens to fulfill your desires.
Yes,
Aisha told him, and
Aisha
so
was
even
pretty
though
smart on that. She knew
she was,
something fishy is happening.
she
So
knew she was
anyhow,
very smart.
we need to go back to our subject of mercy of Muhammad. It was just a little bit of a sidetrack to correlate things. So going back to the subject, this is the mercy of Muhammad. That's again in Sahih al-Bukhari 947, or the older narrations would be book number 2, volume number 2, book number 14, hadith number 68. Allah Messenger offered Fajr prayer when it was still dark. Then he roared and said, Allahu Akbar. Khyber is ruined.
Welcome to
When
another.
when we approach near to the nation, the most unfortunate is the mourning of those who have been warned. The people came out into the street saying, Muhammad and his army, Muhammad and his army. Allah's messenger vanquished them by force, and their warriors were killed. The children and women were taken as captives, and Safiya was taken by Dahril Kalib, and later she belonged to Allah Messenger. So who's Safiya? So first of all, let's dwell on this first. Khyber, you attacked Khyber, you
Yes.
vanquished all the forces, but who attacked? Muhammad and his army attacked. Vanquished everyone by force. Chapter number 9, verse number 28. Go fight the Jews and Christians and pagans until they pay jizya or kill them. And there you see the same. And the children and women were taken captive. Now, what is happening to Safiya and who's Safiya? Let's look at it. The next one. Anas said, captives were gathered at Khaybar. Dhaya came out and said, Apostle of Allah, give me a slave girl from the captive. He said, go and take a slave girl. And that's why I have the heading as Muhammad giving away slaves like carrots. Go and take a slave girl. He took Safiya, the daughter of Huyaya. A man then came to the Prophet and said, you gave Safiya? Really? She is the chief lady of Qurayza and Qurayza and Al Nadir Tudaya? No, why did you do that? Seriously? That she belongs to you. And then the agreed version goes, she is worthy of you. Okay, fair enough. And he said, call him along with her. When the Prophet looked at her, he said, ah, take another slave girl from the captive. This is for me. And it says that then set her free and married her. This is another thing. There are multiple hadiths on Sufiya. Just go search Sufiya on sunnah.com and you will see people were saying after Muhammad spent the night with Safiya in the camp, people were saying that if he comes out and give the veil to Safiya, then she is the ummi of Mu'mineen. Otherwise, she is a slave girl. So these are what you can find in the hadiths themselves. This is a very short narration of Safiya's story. You can actually find that in Ibn Ishaq as well. The Seerah of Muhammad, this whole story in full elaboration. So that's the mercy of Muhammad, my friend.
Killed her husband, killed her brother, killed her father, killed, and then took her as captive and slept with her that same day. And then even, you know, he even allowed her to cook dinner for him one time. And so, you reap what you sow. But she's the one that cooked the. She's the one who cooked the goat with the talking goat. Remember when Muhammad the talking leg after when he
Yes, yes.
she was the one that cooked it. She cooked she put the poison in the goat, and then Muhammad started eating it, and after he tasted it, he said, the leg talked to me. Talked to me, and it told me that it was what after he had already tasted it, to where for the next 3 years he was in a
And
very.
and Allah
Go ahead.
talked to him after the guy who
After,
was standing in front of him
yeah,
actually ate much more
yes,
and he was dying and he said, I actually felt this poison,
yes,
but because Muhammad was eating, so I kept on eating.
yes.
Like all of these things are in hadiths, man. Just go and read. But anyhow, once again, we are going to divert from the topic, um, because we have read all of these things in detail. So the topic
Mhm.
I'm going to move back to the topic.
Okay.
So Muhammad uh, killed all of these. Plus, we know that from the hadiths, we know there are more than 650 um Jews that he removed slash vanquished slash killed. Like
We have
different words are written.
Lord Benu Koreza.
Yes, different words are written. So once again, he killed. Then comes the Then comes the cursing of Muhammad. If you put that in sunnah.com, you will find many hadiths. Here I do not want the video to go 4 hours long. That's why we are just shortening each and everything. Allah Messenger, the good would reach everyone, but it would not reach these two. He said, why so? I said, because you have invoked curse and hurler upon them, both of them. He said, don't you know that I have made a condition with my Lord, saying, thus, O Allah, I am a human being, and that for a Muslim upon whom I invoke curse or hurl, malediction, make it a source of piety and
Pure,
reward.
purity.
Purity and reward.
If I
So,
could just explain what happened there is that
mhm.
Muhammad had cursed these two guys, and then his wife Aisha said to him, "Oh, Prophet of Allah, peace be upon you. Why are you cursing them? You're a prophet and everything. Why are you invoking curses on people?" And he says, "Oh, don't you know I made an agreement with Allah? When I curse somebody, it turns into a blessing for them." So anyway, so
No, basically you are right. I there are longer hadiths of that. You can actually see this is 2600A. Then there is a B. Then there is a C. So basically, I just wanted to make a very shorter version of these things to show people. Once again, there are certain people who would extremely go and say the cursing prophet, because Muhammad always gets angry and he would curse, and that's why he said that.
yeah,
And there's another one. O Allah, I make a covenant with thee, what thee against which thou would set never go. I'm a human being. So thus when I give a harm or a curse to somebody, you will make it for blessing. So these are very basic things if you look at it from a higher perspective. But what are they saying? What are they telling? They are telling that how Muhammad lived his life. So if we also look at Sahih Muslim 6286, it also says, rather this is what we have already done that. So uh, even 6290 it says, and thus for a Muslim whom I give any harm, or whom I scroll, upon whom I invoke a curse, or whom I beat. So it
wow,
even goes to the beating.
make
Make
the
this
source
a
of
source of blessing, purification.
purification and
Oh, you
nearness.
are reading it from another source right now?
Well,
Wow, nice.
because you had it there, so and so when I do something wrong, make it a source of blessing for them on Judgment Day.
Yeah,
You know,
because he couldn't control his life, his mouth, and he becomes angry.
hmm
And like you said, like there was an orphan girl as well. That is also in Sahih Muslim number 6297, and it says, "May you not advance in years." That slave girl returned to Sulaim, Sulaim, weeping. Sulaim said, "O daughter, what is the matter with you?" She said, "Allah Apostle has invoked curse upon me. I will not grow in age, and thus I will never grow in age." So she was like, "Oh my goodness, the Prophet said that I'm going to die." And then she comes to Allah Apostle. Apostle says, you have cursed on an orphan girl. What did you do? And Allah Apostle said the same thing. So for any person from amongst my ummah whom I curse, and he is no way deserve it, let it that, O Lord, be made a source of purification and piety and etc 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 etc. There are several ahadiths on that, but it actually shows the actions of
yeah,
Muhammad
yeah,
as a rahmatal lil alameen,
yeah,
or
rahmat,
just a normal warlord. Let
yeah.
me just put that word out.
That's and it's like the reason that I mean, I wanted you to do this video with me today. The reason is because that's what we're being told is that he was so nice, he was so kind. We always hear the story about how he used to clean up the garbage in front of the Jewish guy's house, and then one day, and the guy used to always put the garbage in front of Muhammad's house, and Muhammad would clean it, And then one day, the Jewish guy didn't put the garbage in front of his house, and so Muhammad was worried about him and went and saw him. That's the story you always hear. But the truth is, the books don't say that. The books say these things. And you know, I don't know why they kept these stories in their books, in their most respectable books. I don't know why their stories are there, but they're there. They're there for people to look at, and you know they won't disown these books. They won't burn these books. These books exist, and they're the most credible, respected books about the life of Muhammad. And look at what they say about him. Is this a mercy to the world? And you know, at the end of the line, you know, at the end of the day, you know, the number one reason why I wanted to do this, and thank you so much, Adam, for all the sources you brought and all the hadith you brought. I wanted you to do it because I know you know all the hadith and everything. But
No, I haven't even scratched the surface
yeah,
of the of the
no,
of the iceberg right now.
just for a week. I know. I could think about 14 different stories right now that I'd want to do. You know, but I just wanted to, you know, to just touch it, you know, and to just see. Think about what he did in Kirfa between the two camels. Think about, you know, what he did to those guys that, you know, stole the urine and the you know, and that he executed with putting the hot nails on their eyes. Why so much cruelty? You know, think about the Banu Qurayza that he killed with his own sword. He beheaded them. He made a trench and beheading them. Why so much cruelty? You know, and yet there's this myth that he was the Rahmat al Alameen. What is this Rahmah? This is the guy you're following into eternity. You're entrusting your soul to this guy. You're entrusting your life, and I know they're going to say, we will die for him. This is the guy you're entrusting your life to. I'm telling you, no, come and trust your life to Jesus. You
Yes,
talk about a mercy, the one who healed the blind, the one who healed the lepers, the one who had mercy on the adulteress and said, let he who is without sin cast the first stone. We didn't even talk about that. Come to Jesus. He is the source of mercy. He's the source of grace, na'ama wa rahma. And I don't know, Adam, if you would like to say something more along those lines.
but there are so many. But let me just put another one out. We know I always add some Shia references in it as well. You know what hummus is?
Almost. I've heard of it, but I don't know.
So hummus is the 1/5 portion of your possession that
Yes,
is to be
yes,
paid to the Islamic State or the Imam. Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
that is Sahih al-Bukhari 4350. I should actually take a picture and show as, but anyhow, the Prophet sent Ali to bring the hummus from the booty, and this guy Khalid is saying that I hated Ali, I disliked Ali. So when Ali took those hummus, Ali had taken a bath after a sexual act with slave girls from the Homs. So basically, the Homs is in form of slave girls that you are taking. So 1/5 of the slave girls are Homs for for the state which Muhammad runs.
Wow.
So basically, what happens is that Ali has taken bath from the Homs, and I said to Khalid, "Don't you see this? That Ali, when we reached the Prophet, I mentioned this to him, and he said, 'Oh Buraida, do you hate Ali?' I said yes, and he said, 'Do you hate him for he deserve more than that from the Homs?'
Mm,
So if he had done it with one slave woman, he should have done it even with more because he deserves more from the Homs. And imagine the mercy of Muhammad is that you have taken captive slave women from the war by killing them, killing their husbands and everyone. And now what you are doing is you are actually uh, using them, rather abusing them. I would not even say use. I don't know how the use word came out of my mouth, but that's what it is. And if we read at uh, and we have brought prophet on the day of Quraiza, those who had begun to grow hair on their private parts were killed, while who had not were sent free. I was among those who had not begun to grow hair, so I was set free. So this is narrated by Atil Quraizi, Razi Allah Ta'ala Anha, because he was set free because he was too young, he was a child. So the mercy is, do not kill a child if he does not have hairs on his private parts. But at the same time, if we look at Sunnah ibn Majah, and that's hadith number 2946 from book 24, it says, the prophet was asked about the polytheists who are attacked at night. So who are attacked at night by whom? By the Muslims, obviously, and their women and children are killed, obviously, because you are attacking at night, you are raiding them, and some women and children are also killed. He said they are from among them. This is Sahih. This is volume number 4, book number 24, hadith number 2839. Or if you read the Arabic reference, it would be book number 24, hadith number 2946 from Sunan ibn Majah, and that's also Sahih. And that's also Sahih. Sahih Muslim 22. And you would also proclaim it because this is a very important hadith. This is the first time Shahada was introduced. I have been
Okay.
commanded to fight against people till they testify that there is no God but Allah, that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, and they establish prayer and pay zakah. And if they do it, their blood and property are guaranteed protection on my behalf, except when they justified by the law and their affairs are rest with Allah. Like I don't know how many we need to show over here to to get people to realize and understand the mercy of Muhammad
Yes.
is extremely merciful.
Yes. Well, it says that the words of the Quran are mubin, they're clear, and so I think either mercy means something else. Maybe mercy means something that we don't understand. And
I have kept this for the last. I want to read this as well. This is
okay,
Sahih Muslim 1695b. A lady coming to Muhammad. I have wronged myself. I have committed adultery, and I desire that you should purify me. What did Muhammad said? He turned him away. On the following day, he again came to him and said, Allah Messenger, I have committed adultery. Allah Messenger turned him away for the second time and sent him to the people, saying, do you know if there is anything wrong with his mind? They denied of such thing in him and said, we do not know him, but as a wise good man among us, so far as we judge. Come the third time, the prophet sent him as he had done before. He asked him, and they informed him that there was nothing wrong with him, etc. etc. When it was the fourth time, a ditch was dug for him, and he, the prophet, pronounced judgment about him, and he was stoned. He, the narrator, said, then there came to him the holy prophet. Then there came to him a woman from Gahmed and said, Allah Messenger, I have committed adultery, so purify me. He, Holy Prophet, turned her away. On the following day, she said, Allah Messenger, why do you turn me away? Perhaps you turned me away as you turned my eyes by Allah. I have become pregnant. He said, well, if you insist upon it, then go away until you give birth to the child. When she was delivered, she came with the child, wrapped in a rag, and said, here is the child whom I have given birth to. He said, go away and suckle him until you wean him. When she had weaned him, she came to him with the child who was holding a piece of bread in his hand. She said, Allah Apostle, there is he, as I have weaned him, he eats food, He, Prophet, entrusted the child to one of the Muslim and then pronounced punishment. And she was put in a ditch up to her chest, and he commanded people that they throw stones at her. Two, I intentionally took this longer hadith this time because there's a man, there's a woman. You can find these hadiths separately as well in multiple narrations. This is from Sahih Muslim. You can actually find them in Sahih Bukhari as well with multiple narrations. I'm gonna correlate it with the gospel. You want to see mercy. We are talking about mercy, mercy, mercy. Let's see the mercy. Let's see the real mercy. The lady came to Jesus. Rather, she was brought to Jesus by the Jews that this lady has committed adultery. She should be punished by stoning to death. Jesus,
Hey, Adam, I just want to tell you that my one of my cousins just says that you're lying, and that's not how the story goes. But you were reading it exactly, and so I don't know what he thinks you said
yeah,
wrong, but I was following it, and you read exactly word for word what is in the book. So,
yeah.
anyway,
He will be like, this lady should not have come again. This guy should not have come again. This guy and this lady wanted it. Okay, I know that. I know that particular verdict or rebuttal as well. But that's the problem. These people wanted Muhammad to forgive them or tell them to do something so that they could be forgiven, so that they would not go into hell. That's the answer for that question. So anyhow, that is not even written in hadith, but I'm answering your rebuttal before you could even send that rebuttal. Anyhow, let me go back to how what the Jesus did. The adulterous woman was brought by the Jews stating, hey, she did adultery, she should be stoned to death. What are you going to do? Okay, they want him to give the verdict. He looked down on the ground and with his fingers he started writing. Now we have to go into commentaries, but I'm not going to go into commentary and say what he was writing. But anyhow, what he said was, whoever has never sinned, throw the first stone. Whoever has never sinned, throw the first stone. And Steve, what happened?
it says everybody from the
One by one.
youngest, yep, from the oldest to the youngest, they all walked away.
Because there is nobody in this world who has not sinned.
Yeah.
And then what did Jesus tell to the lady? And he said, and she was the only one standing there, and she asked Jesus, and what about me? What should I do? And he said, go and do not do this again.
Or when
Go away and do not do it. Sin no more. Sin no more. So the whole idea behind this is that anyone can do sin. He, Jesus, would forgive the sin. He had the power and the authority in this world and the world after to forgive sins. He did forgive sin. He said, do not commit this sin again. Go and do not, I forgive you. Because she asked. You people are saying, she asked the ladies, the guy and the lady asked Muhammad. She was not dragged there. This lady could have gone away when everyone else went away. No, she stood there on the same ground. And she asked Jesus, what about me? What should I do? Right? And Jesus said, go and sin no more.
storms in the war.
That's that's Jesus. That's mercy.
Yeah.
He is the one who came as mercy. He never had slaves. He never asked to have slaves. He never said that you should fight and capture the woman as slave and have them for sex. He never cursed anybody. He never cursed a human soul ever in his life. That you cannot even find that. Yes, I know certain people say about the tree. Forget, that's not even a human. And there is a story behind it. There's a tough tafsir for that. So go read and don't just make accusations simply by saying it.
Yeah.
He never said have marriage with an underage girl. He never he never punished somebody for killing. Like he never took camels or donkeys and ripped people apart. He never held a sword to kill somebody, but rather when Peter, if I'm not mistaken, cut
Yeah.
the ear of the soldier, he took up that ear, he placed it back, and he said to Peter, "The one who lives by the sword, die by the sword."
Yeah.
So, life of Jesus is this life. But rather, if I need to compare, I should never even compare Jesus with Muhammad. There's no comparison. How can a light, a life, a truth can be compared with Muhammad? We have to we have to compare Paul with Muhammad. These are the two personalities that can be at least correlate in some aspect, in form of comparison. You can never compare Jesus with Muhammad, and that's what it is. And Tamur Ali is saying, LOL, you are good to make people fool. Mr. Tamur, whenever you want to come live, I will open another session and we will show you all of these things and even more. And then you will have to denounce them. And if you denounce all of them, these are hadiths, these are tafsirs, these are Quran, then you are not even a Muslim. So thank you so much for showing your stance over there, but that's what it is. So even Paul did not take up the sword when he became Paul. So when he was a Saul, we are not even talking about that. When he actually found the light, he never took up the sword. He actually preached. He went areas to areas and preached. When we talk about Muhammad's apostles, means the caliphs, and they went into war after war, battle after battle, and in 250 years they won a lot of land. Because what they had behind the motive of battles? Jizya, land, and women. Either
Woman.
they'll get jizya, or they will get land and women. That's the motive they had. But if you look at it from the apostle of Jesus side, they had no motive, but rather Jesus already told them that you will be persecuted in my name. You will be persecuted in my name. You will be killed in my name. And all of them, with the exception of John, all of them were some of them were killed, some of them were crucified, killed,
Yeah.
and some of them were put on an X cross and killed. That's how they lived their life without the sword,
Yeah.
and they spent their life while preaching the good news.
Hallelujah.
That's the major difference. Rahmat ilil Alameen, who is actually Jesus,
Yes.
the salvation.
Yeah.
He is Jesus. And then we see Muhammad, who was claimed as Rahmat lil Alameen. But if you look at it in the books of Sirah and Hadiths, you can see a very different picture. Yes, I do not doubt that there are certain good hadiths about Muhammad as well.
About
I'm
the
not
cat.
saying that.
Who fed the cat? And there are, but the thing is why did they leave these in? Why are these there? If you look at the principle, why would they leave? Why would somebody make this stuff up and then leave it unless it is true? The most logical reason why these stories are in these books is because they are true. And so my encouragement is what Father Zechariah always says. He says to the Muslims, I know you watch CNN, you get a lot of your information from CNN, and CNN definitely has an agenda, and then you hear what you hear in the school books and everything like that. But I encourage you, Muslims, start reading your books. Start reading your books. Read Sahih al-Bukhari. Read the Ibn Ishaq. Read Ibn Hisham. Read the books about the life of Muhammad. Find out what he did. Find out the truth about what your books say, not just what you hear on TV, not just what you hear, you know, uh, what you hear on CNN. Find out the truth about him. And yeah, and the reason is because, do you want to entrust your life to this man? Do you want to entrust your life to this man? Do you want to give your life? Are you trusting your eternity to this man who did these things? Jesus said you will know a false prophet. You know how? By his fruit. It says you'll know the false prophet by his fruit, meaning what he did.
Amen.
And what did Muhammad do? Mkirfa,
Sufaya.
then Qurayza. All of these stories, and there's so many more. There's so many more about what Muhammad did to people.
And I'm going to cut you short over here, but Tamur, who are you talking about? Seems like you're talking about Muhammad,
Right.
because Muhammad is the only one whose father is not mentioned in Quran, and Muhammad is the one whose mother even is not mentioned in Quran. Whereas Jesus, thankfully, even though that Quran is a corrupt book, but yet it says what the gospel says, and it was taken from the gospel that he is the word of Allah, Kalimatullah, and
Well,
he is the Ruhullah, and that's why he is Ruhullah.
yes.
So we all know who's the father, but I think you are definitely in doubt with the father of Muhammad, or how many fathers of Muhammad. So, whenever you have the time and courage to come up and have a debate, I welcome you. Otherwise, I think your message, comment has been answered.
And I'd love to talk to him about who I think is the father of Muhammad. And it's not Abdullah, but anyway. Anyway, brother, I got a church service I got to go to now, and
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been almost, or rather, it's over an hour, and we haven't even scratched the surface.
of
So,
course, yeah,
thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the listeners.
yeah,
And before you go and do service, let's have a small prayer.
yes. And I just want to say one more thing. I've said it
Yes.
already, but I just want to say to the Muslims, I love you. I'm not doing this to hurt you. I know some of you think that. I don't. And Adam's not doing this to hurt, but we love you. We want you to give your life to Jesus. He's the only one. He is the mercy. Muhammad is not. Just go read your books. He's not a mercy. Jesus is the mercy. And Nasser, you're saying we're lying. Go read your books. Just go read your books. We gave you the source. Go read them. We gave you the source. Go back, Nasser, and write down every single thing we said. We were reading your books. If you think we're
And
lying,
that's why we were showing it. I actually spent certain amount of time just to take the screenshots of all these hadiths so that nobody would say that we are lying. Otherwise, I already know all of these stories by heart.
yes,
And so that's it is for you people. We showed the sources so
yes,
that you guys will seek it. You
yes,
guys will be able to see it. And if any of the source is wrong, come and tell me,
yes.
because all of them are sahih. There are more hadiths in Sunan Ibn Majah, Sunan Ibn Dawood, Ibn Nisa'i, who are proclaimed as daif.
Mm-hmm.
I have not even shown a single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So do not say that it is wrong, it is right, it's written. Do you think the narrative is different? Come and tell us. Teach us.
Right.
Saying you're wrong, you're lying, you're wrong does not make it wrong, does not make it lie.
No matter how many
Unless,
times you say it.
exactly, unless you come in and tell us
Yeah,
what interpretation that we have taken is wrong.
yeah,
Because we have the word in front of us, we are reading it and comprehending it
yeah.
exactly how it is written. Nothing more, nothing less.
And I'm
So,
surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised, Nasser. I'm surprised that you would say that because it makes me think you don't know your sources. Makes me think you don't know your. I mean, if you say we said the story wrong, how could you possibly? That means that you probably have heard things about this story. All the messengers were mercy, but you know what? But I don't. But Muhammad wasn't. Muhammad wasn't. Kamura was just like all the messengers of mercy. Muhammad was not. You know, that's the thing. Muhammad was not a mercy to the world. And I know that they'll say all the messengers were mercy, but the focus that I kind of get the feeling the focus is that Muhammad is a mercy. You know, that's what they want to push is that Muhammad is the mercy, and that's why we want to show you he was not a mercy. Look at what he did to these people. Look at the lives he destroyed. Look at the how many people's lives were destroyed by this man. And you know, and I don't want you to follow him into eternity. That's the number one thing. I don't want you to follow him into the dark. Don't follow him into the darkness.
Okay, this guy actually said we are more Christians than the Christians themselves. Do you actually mean what Christian means? You know what Christ means?
You know what it
What?
is? I was at the mosque today preaching to some Muslims, and I know you've heard this a million times that we love Jesus more than you guys do. You know?
Yes,
And I just tell them, well, it's a different Jesus. You love Isa. You don't.
exactly.
You divested him of his deity. You divested him of his deity. You say he's not God, and he is God. You say he's not God. That's not loving him. That's not loving him. That's another Jesus. You have another Jesus. Isa is not Jesus.
Dude,
You
you are bringing this topic, and then I have to speak a little on that as well. So, Quran by itself says he is Kalimatullah, and he is Ruh Allah. So Ruh is Jibrail, because now if they say Ruh is Allah, then they will, because Allah is Bilah Ruh anyways. And then in verse it says War Ruhana, Allah is saying, and we and and the one who guarded her chastity, we have put in her. And then Allah is mute, what? Because it goes back to Farajaha, and it says War Ruhana, what? Our spirit. And then again what happens is, when Allah was doing all of this, they are actually not even translating it. So Allah is putting his own ruh. Wow, the word is wow, moving for the previous noun who is saying, and Allah is saying it. So his ruh. But anyhow, that is not the subject of the. That's what we are saying as well. That Jesus is what? The ruh of God, not Allah. God, the Father. And that's what makes him divine. He was there before the world was created, because God created the world by his word. That's what says in Genesis. Go read it. And his spirit was hovering over the waters in the deep. That's what it says. We can correlate. There are so many verses. I am doing already a Isa of Islam versus Jesus of Bible. It's a whole 10-part series. 3 parts are there. Go watch them. Come back with the rebuttals. I will debate with you. And Temur, I have read enough. I don't think I need to read more. Go, come and have a debate. Get your materials collected and let us know when you can actually have a debate and we can go live. Right now, thank you so much, every listener, all the listeners that were listening, all the listeners that will actually come later and watch and listen. We thank you. Holy Father, thank you so much for this blessed time that you have given us, that we could speak the truth, show the deception and the lies that they are believing, give them their own books to see what is written. Lord, also, we have given the word of the Bible to them, which is the living word, where the salvation is. Because Jesus, you came down to this world because you loved us, because you loved us, your own creation. You loved us enough to come down and sacrifice yourself as the lamb for our salvation, for our salvation, took upon the sins of this world. And because of you, we can be called the family of God. It is a religion. It is not a religion. It is not a religion, guys. It is not a religion. It's a relationship between you and God, because God loved us so much that he wants us to be in a relationship with him. With him. That's the love of God. Thank you, Jesus, for everything that you have done for each and every one of us. Lord, give the light and life to the people who are still in darkness. In Jesus' name I pray. Thank you, everyone.
God bless you.
Love Jesus in truth. Love Jesus so that you could actually know Him. Stay away from Islam because that's nothing than darkness. Take care, guys. Have a blessed time.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam.